JRE number 1377. The first movie monsters were made with almost nothing, yet they still haunt people today.
I've been a fan of yours forever, man. I was a huge Star Wars fan when I was a kid, and you inspired me. When I was young, I really wanted to be a makeup artist. I wanted to do special effects and the kind of stuff that you do.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, man. I think it was probably Star Wars that kicked it off for me, because I, like many kids, a lot of people today, we're so removed with first VHS and then DVDs and Laserdiscs and now streaming. It's so easy to watch movies. But when Star Wars came out, we would go see it over and over and over again. It was like a little contest between a lot of the kids that I went to school with. And I think I saw it 13 times while it was out in the movie theater. But I became fascinated. I've always been fascinated with comic books. I always wanted to be a comic book illustrator, and I always loved like those fantasy novels, like creepy and eerie, those graphic novels. But I really became fascinated with special effects and particularly makeup after your work.
Well, it's kind of the same thing for me. I mean, I grew up I was born in 1950, I grew up in front of a TV, but it was a little black and white one, and there was always the monster movies on Saturdays, or Sundays, and that stuff just hit a chord with me, and I just said, I have to do this,
What was the first thing that you did?
First ever makeup kind of thing I did? Well, I mean, I'm an only child. My mom wasn't supposed to have kids because she had a bad heart and stuff, but they wanted children, but I was very shy. I stayed in my bedroom. I couldn't talk to an adult and stuff like that. Yeah. The very first thing, I got interested in makeup, and I got some just white grease paint and black grease paint and smeared it on my face. And just with a layer of grease paint on my face, when I was looking in the mirror, it wasn't little Ricky Baker anymore. And I could do things that I couldn't do without this shit smeared on my face,
Wow.
And it helped me overcome my shyness. But I mean, it started with that. But I mean, I wanted to do something more, So I ended up I made my first mask, I think, when I was 13, and it was Curse of Frankenstein. And I did that one mainly because I thought I could copy that one and make it look close enough, because there's some crudeness to that makeup. I've actually at first didn't like it, but I like it now. I mean, it's when you find out how the film industry works, and poor Philip Leakey, who did that makeup, had like a week to prep, and no money. So I forgive some of the faults with it.
Well, it's great when you stop and think about the earliest versions of makeup in movies, like special effects style makeup in movies. You go back to like Nosferatu is probably one of the very earliest, right? I mean, they really didn't have anything to go with. There wasn't anything to copy.
Yeah.
They kind of had to make it up.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, the Nosferatu is it's a great film.
It's a great film, and still to this day.
Yeah, and the look, I mean, it shouldn't work by all.
Right.
It's like a big hook nose, and like, but it works great. But yeah, and same thing. I mean, Lon Chaney had nothing to work with,
right.
Spirit gum and cotton, and he did, to this day, some of my favorite makeups and some of the best makeups. And I think the limitations in a lot of ways made the makeups work better. I mean, now we can add so much stuff, and I find that happens so much now, like with that Face-Off show and stuff. People, it's more like about how much can you pile on someone's face, but sometimes the most effective makeups are just the teeniest little bit of things that you do, and let a lot of the humanity show through.
Like Lon Chaney in Phantom of the Opera.
A great makeup.
Yeah.
That's a terrific. And Chaney was just brilliant anyways,
yes.
And great at making scary faces. That's how I learned to make scary faces, watching Chaney movies.
Yeah, and he's another one. There was not much for him to go on. He was kind of like a pioneer.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure.
And I mean, again, like I said, it's still some of my favorite makeups. That and, Jack Pierce's Frankenstein's monster.
Yes.
Again, crude materials, and it was, and poor Boris Karloff, what he had to endure. I mean, that isn't none of the makeups he did on Boris were comfortable, with cotton and spirit gum and collodion. Collodion, I don't know if you might know what collodion is because of your fight background kind of stuff, but it's a plastic. They used to use it to close up boxers' wounds and stuff. It's like kind of this liquid plastic, but it smells horrible. And, and to be working around someone's eyes with this fumes of stuff and, yeah, I mean, he had to put up with a lot.
So it's kind of like a glue?
Yeah, it's a kind of a liquidy, plasticky stuff.
Can you pull up a video of Nosferatu? What year was that?
22. I don't know what.
1922?
22.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You stop and think about that, film itself had only been how old then?
Yeah, not very.
Not very.
But yeah.
See if you can get a video of it. Yeah. His, just the whole thing about the way he moved, like everything, it was so creepy and interesting.
Well, and the whole film, just beautifully shot. So many of the silent films, the photography is so incredible,
I wonder what they did with the fingers. Like, how'd they get his fingers?
Well, I think those are just his hands at this point, Later, in like the John Barrymore, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I remember reading in Famous Monsters, which was, again, my Bible,
Right.
Did you get Famous Monsters at all?
Yes.
Yeah,
I did.
Oh, yeah, you said creepy and eerie and all that.
Sure.
Yeah. They said, John Barrymore did the whole transformation without makeup, and it's not true. He's got finger extensions on. He's got like a pointed back of a head, and stuff. But yeah, it's Nosferatu, brilliant.
So what did they do for his ears? Do you know?
Well, I'm not sure what they're made out of. Same with the bald head. I know rubber existed then. You can kind of see. He's got. I think it's probably just like a slip rubber, which is like Halloween masks are made out of, ears and bald head and nose.
Yeah, some sort of prosthetic nose, right?
Yeah, and those big pointy teeth. But again, if you really kind of analyze it and look at it, you think this is stupid. It'll never work, but it works great. And I also think it's because Max Schreck was great. He does some really cool things with his hands and stuff.
Well, if nothing like this existed and it was dark out and you saw a guy like that in your house, you would freak out.
Well,
that's
I'd freak
terrifying
out just if I saw somebody in my house anyways.
Yeah, someone smiling would freak you out.
Yeah.
JRE number 1685. Psychedelic users around the world report meeting the same entities, but no one knows what they are.
Whatever it is, the DMT or the mushrooms or whatever it is, to take a hold of you and take you on a journey, then those journeys are generally positive.
It was extremely negative.
Yeah. I wonder what that is.
Afterwards, it was great.
Yeah.
Like, I woke up the next day like, bro, I got to change a lot of things.
Right. So that's the thing about negative ones. They're not really negative. They're just...
No, it's just hard while you're in it.
It's just a hard lesson.
Yeah.
It's a hard lesson. I think when people struggle with psychedelic experiences, or if people have legitimate mental illnesses that do psychedelics, that's never a good idea. People that are like hanging on by a thread already and they eat 7 bags of mushrooms. Like,
bro, I was staring at people. Like, we were outside by a campfire, and I'd be like staring at someone. And they'd be like, what are you looking at? I'd be like, because their face would change. They'd have like 3 heads. I'd be like, dude, are you okay?
So that makes me think, like, what is that?
You know what's weird is we all kind of see the same things.
That's a problem.
It's like, you ever have sleep paralysis?
No, I haven't.
I had sleep paralysis one night. And it was at the foot of my bed. You've heard of sleep paralysis?
Yeah, for sure.
Foot of my bed, there's a long, spindly, shadowy figure just standing there. And it was fully real. It was real. And it walked along the side of my bed, like reaching its hand out at my face. And I woke up, tried to fight it. I thought it was so real that I thought it was like an intruder. You know what I mean? There was no part of me that was like, this is a demon.
I wonder what that is.
And then months later, I found out about sleep paralysis. I had never heard of it. Googled it, and there was a image of exactly what I dreamed on the internet. Like, I saw it.
Whoa.
And I was like, it gave me fucking chills.
Like,
I was
it's
like, holy
common.
shit. And everybody sees the same thing. It's crazy.
But that's what I'm saying. What if it's real?
That goes to the mushrooms thing with like the ego death or whatever all those dumb fucking hippies want to call it. I did experience it. Even though I'm like, these fucking dumb hippies. I literally experienced an ego death.
One of the weirdest experiences I've ever had is with 5-MeO DMT, which is a different kind of dimethyltryptamine. I think it has like a different molecule attached to it or something. And there's no visuals. With regular DMT, it's like these wild fractal psychedelic.
It looks like a video game.
Yes, it's super luminous, and then you have entities that are communicating with you and these wild things.
I'm sorry to cut you off. What are the entities saying? Like,
I had a bunch of jokers the last time I did it. Give me the finger. They were all jesters, like with the bells.
Really?
And yeah. And they're like this.
Oh no!
And it made me realize instantly, because my first thought was like, "Hey, fuck you!
Hey, fuck you guys!"
My first instinct, like there was, it was all laid out in front of me. They were saying, "You take yourself too seriously."
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, you're right."
Damn! I wish everybody got to see you get that high. Get that high and be like, "Hey, fuck you!"
But it was a real lesson because it's true, and it changed the way. I mean, this was just a few years ago. The last time I did it, I think it was 2.5-ish, 3-ish years ago. And I still think of that as like that made me a markedly more relaxed person from that moment on. Like the way because I was realizing like there's this tension when you're worried about what people think about you, and there's like a thing if you take yourself too seriously, you don't want people to talk about you a certain way. And whatever it was, I'm doing this experience, and I'm all of a sudden, I'm in the DMT world, and there's these guys going like this, fuck you. And I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, and I go like this, like, oh, I get it. Like it was instantly apparent. Like I knew I had because you're managing a certain level of fame, and sometimes your ego gets in the way, or that your perceptions are off, and you're not willing to readjust, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But these gestures giving me the finger, I realized exactly what it was about. You take yourself too seriously. I go, oh, and then I had to examine it really briefly. I'm like, you're right, and they all started nodding like that.
Wow.
And then they went away. And then then it became this beautiful journey. But it was an opportunity for me to have a bad trip, because not terrible. It wasn't like demonic shit I was seeing. I was just seeing, fuck you. It would have bothered me. They were all giving me the finger. I was like, oh my God, there's so many of you. It was like fractal. There was like like who knows how many. Like there's no way I could count them. But there was a massive number of jesters giving me the finger. And it let me know, like, that shouldn't bother you at all. Like, that shouldn't bother you. You should embrace that. You have two ways to look at that. You could look at that and you could be bothered by it, and you could look at that and think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
If it's true. The only reason why you'd be bothered by it is you're connected to your own self-image, and you're connected to this idea that you want to project out to all the other people. And the jesters were right. I was like, you're right. It's a great lesson.
It is.
They were right.
The earliest movie monsters looked simple, but people had never seen anything like them before.
So when you were saying that you collect films and you have films, do you go back to like the really old ones like Nosferatu?
Oh yeah, I love silent movies, and now they're easier to get because I always loved Lon Chaney, but so many of the films are hard to get.
I was showing my kids Lon Chaney 2 nights ago.
What movie did they watch?
I was showing them the original Wolfman, and I was showing them Jekyll and Hyde. I was showing them some of the Lon Chaney Jr.
Well, Lon Chaney Jr. was Wolfman, but his dad, who was in like Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Wasn't he Jekyll and Hyde as well? That was Lon Chaney, right?
No, Frederick March.
Oh, what?
Well, it depends. There's the John Barrymore silent Jekyll and Hyde, but you're probably not sure. The Frederick March one is great. It's so perverted.
Is it
when
really?
He's like with the prostitutes and stuff. Isn't that the one you showed your kids? Like from the 30s?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
From the 30s? Is
After
that
they watch porn.
Well, there's the boring one with Spencer Tracy as Jekyll.
Is it boring?
Just compared to the other one. The other one's... Because anything that's sort of like the pre-code stuff is really...
We watched the beginning of the Spencer Tracy one because it was so strange. There's actually, when on iTunes you can watch a preview, but it's not really a preview in its old films because they didn't have previews back then. So it's just a scene. And it's a scene when he's becoming Mr. Hyde, but he doesn't look any different.
Yeah, he just kind of messes up his hair.
Looks a little meaner.
The Frederick March one is one of the best ones ever made. It's so good.
But Lon Chaney was like... It was Phantom of the Opera, which is a really interesting one because he put on some really painful makeup for that.
I mean,
film,
he just invented everything. Yeah, the way the things he'd do. I mean, I don't know how much the stories have been exaggerated by publicity departments over the years, but yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. And movies like The Unknown or The Unholy 3, like you can get everything now. Forever, it was like impossible to see these movies. For a long time, I don't do it anymore, but I used to collect vintage movie posters, and that's what I would go after. The Lon Chaney silent movie posters, because a lot of times it'd be like, there's only one of these in existence, and I was like, I gotta have it. Then I realized I'm spending too much money on things.
Those old films, when I was trying to show them to my kids, I was just trying to. We were going from the 20s to the 30s. There's a movie that's the original horror film that I found out was 1920. It's actually 2 years older than Nosferatu. It was Dr. something.
Dr. Caligari.
Caligari.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. Yeah, we watched a little bit of that too. But I just wanted to show them how weird it is, like the progression of film, particularly like scary films, because when my kids were real little, my wife was out of town, and I said, do you guys want to watch a scary movie that's not really scary? And they were nervous.
How old are they?
At the time, I think they were 5 and 3, or maybe 6 and 4, somewhere around there. So I
Throwing down the test. Do you want to watch it?
But I knew it wasn't going to be really scary,
Yeah.
so I put on the original King Kong from, what was that, like
1933, I think,
something
yeah.
like that. And we were laughing. I was like, let me tell you something. We're going to watch this, and it's so fake. It looks so dumb. I go, we're gonna laugh. And so we were cuddled up on the couch. They were nervous. And then once they saw the thing, they're like, that's it? That's the monster? I was like, let me tell you something, kid. In 1933, this was scary for people. They really thought this was realistic. They thought this was amazing.
Do you ever have that moment you watch something like, say, I do this like Frankenstein. Like you've seen it so many times that it's hard to watch it like you've never seen it before. But sometimes I'll be watching something and there'll be a scene where like Frankenstein's killing Fritz and there's no music and he's just screaming. And I was like, this must have fucking been so intense because no one had seen anything like this. They're watching this creature who they don't understand the makeup because no one knew how it was done. Like especially because he kind of, the first appearance of Karloff as Frankenstein, he kind of backs in and turns.
And his head's flat. He's got bolts on his neck.
The Jack Pierce makeup is so incredible that I was just like, people must have been like running for the door.
Pull up a picture of what Boris Karloff looked like in that movie. I haven't seen that in forever.
It's so good.
It was so good. Also, it's so difficult for us to understand perspective. Like to put yourself in their place back then. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, the lighting was incredible.
Now we're used to seeing that; it's so iconic that, or that it becomes like. But if you'd never seen anything like that before. I mean, I guess going back to what we said a second ago, like Lon Chaney in Phantom of the Opera and his Quasimodo, you kind of
the bolts in the neck.
Crazy. But that must have just been like
fucking cables for a battery. It's so crazy. The posts on his neck. Do you remember when they did a remake with De Niro?
I do. I don't remember a movie very good.
I don't remember it either, but I remember it being terrifying looking. Like he was updated. Yeah,
he looked cool in that.
Yeah.
It's a tough one though with those movies because they got it so right the first time.
Yeah.
And the performances are like when I watch I really like Lugosi in Dracula. And when you watch it, I always feel like he's like Brando of that time because everyone else is like talking like, like they're still doing vaudeville and they're way over the top and they're too much. And he's like doing this thing where sometimes you're like, you almost can't understand him because of his accent. Like, wow, he's like in this whole weird head trip and they're like doing play. Hey, listen, buddy, like the way they're talking. And that's why nobody can remember David Manners, who got paid 10 times what Lugosi, but Lugosi's like this iconic thing, like Marilyn Monroe. I mean, it just was so out of time with so special what they were doing.
Yeah, even in the film, there's a scene where the woman had been bit, and he's like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" And he's so corny and over the top, and in that the style of that era. But Lugosi's on another level.
And like everybody, like a lot of those actors then seem very much like they were in the closet and they were trying to like play with the woman. And Lugosi has that vibe like, I'm going to fuck everything on this set before I leave this movie. Like he just reeks of like, I'm Hungarian and I'm going to nail every actress in this film.
Yeah, and he's a fucking powerful vampire. Like he bought into it. Like he was in the role. He was in the headspace.
And a lot of those movies, another good one's like The Black Cat, where like the same guy was in the Dracula's in it. He's so like swishy and over the top, and Lugosi and Karloff together are so intense. It's like there's two different movies going on. This weird Hollywood movie and this weird thing these other guys are doing, man. It's like Brando and Apocalypse Now. Like he's making a whole different movie. Him and Dennis Hopper.
Yeah. It's cool to just go back in time and see the progression of horror, to go from those films. Like I still think Nosferatu to this day is one of the coolest vampires ever.
It's so incredible looking.
There was no sort of benchmark before him, right? I mean, and he looked so fucking weird with the long fingers, and he looked creepy. And the way he would rise, remember when they had him on a board?
Oh yeah, it just was like straight up.
Sit straight up.
It looks incredible. And I still, and I love the Herzog remake with Klaus Kinski.
Oh, that's right.
is
Werner
amazing.
Herzog did that.
Yeah, and Kinski's he's so perfect.
Wow.
Because
I
he's such
forgot
another
about that.
crazy actor that
Yeah.
just reeks of crazy right off the screen.
Yes, yeah. It's just hard to do a good monster movie these days. I mean, I'm a gigantic Rick Baker fan. Obviously, you see
Rick's
he's coming
amazing.
on here too.
Oh, is he?
Super pumped.
Oh, yeah, his new book
Yeah.
looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm getting him to promote that, but when I was a kid, I wanted to be a makeup artist. It was one of the
really?
things that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I studied Rick Baker, and I studied, the early Lon Chaney days, like we were talking about, and I just love the prosthetics and like Star Wars and shit like that. Which, by the way, I went to the Star Wars attraction yesterday.
Oh, you
at
did?
Disneyland. It's the shit. Woo! That fucking Star Wars ride. The ride is incredible, man. You're
It's simulated though, right?
Yes,
I
it's
can't
simulated,
do it.
but
simulated
you'll
rides
throw
make
up.
me want to just.
Blech.
I won't throw up, but I'll feel like I want to for the rest of the day.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So my kids were steering. They got a chance to steer. They were the pilots, and you're slamming into fucking because they have to coordinate. One goes up, one goes
really?
left and right. So up and down is one kid, and left and right is the other.
Are they
and
next to each other in the
Yes.
cockpit, or are they
Yeah.
separate? Like how
next to each other?
Han and
pretty
Luke
close,
were.
but they're screaming at each other. Don't hit it! Oh my god!
Are there like asteroids flying
Yeah,
on them?
boom! they're hitting shit, but
awesome.
just the ride is fucking incredible. I mean, you could see there's so much money poured into there, and apparently there's a bunch of other ones that they're in the process of developing too.
Oh, really? Oh,
But
yeah.
I loved those movies, and a big part of it was like the cantina scene. If you went to that now, you'd be like, oh my god, it's obviously a mask. And
Oh,
like,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like their face doesn't be like. "Ah."
It's like the weird werewolf guy.
Yeah, no, but they're not moving. You know? But back then, I was like, "This is amazing. This is the greatest
Oh my
thing I've
god!
ever
I can
seen."
so clearly remember seeing that movie for the first time.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you come out of. I remember coming out of the movie like shell shocked, like everything I thought about everything just changed.
Yeah. It's
Life will never be the same.
That's another movie that's so hard to put in perspective. I've watched it with my kids now, and it's like you got to bring them back to the 1970s when this movie came out.
Yeah.
Like you don't get it. Like back then, this was fucking insane how good it was.
Yeah.
People would watch. I mean, I watched it like. I think we had like little competitions with our friends to see who could watch it the most amount of times. I think I saw it like 13 times.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. And someone gave me a Blu-ray of the original before Lucas did all the extra stuff and ruined it. Somehow they had cut together. Somebody went to all the trouble of getting like a Japanese laser, and they cut together a Blu-ray of exactly the movie as it was in 1977.
What did he do differently in the new version?
Enhance some of the special effects. He added that scene with the digital, Jabba the Hutt, and just like there'll be like the Tauntaun that's like there's just little robots and bullshit everywhere that wasn't there in the original. And now, what seems so badass for effects in whatever it was 2000 now looks super bad. Cheesy.
So cheesy.
But the stuff from 77 still. That's why I always want to, like, you watch 2001, you go like, how can this still look better than everything?
Yeah.
These are literally models shot in 1968 or something.
Well, Kubrick knew the limitations of the visual format. And so he shot things in a way where he wasn't willing to compromise the way something looked to show you something that like sort of like the King Kong animation. Like that's the best they could do back then.
Yeah.
But Kubrick figured workarounds.
I just read this new book that came out, well, maybe 6 months ago, that's all about the making of 2001, and the book is so detailed. I wish I could remember the title of it. And it's amazing the amount of time, like it's stuff you take for granted now, just how they had to make the digital readouts on the computer screens. Because that stuff did not exist at all. So the amount of time that went into just simple background things that nobody cares about, it's just mind-blowing. And just the weightlessness scenes and how they did all that stuff, which still look amazing. No,
it's still an incredible movie, and it's also a time capsule, right? It's like it's one of those films that it's great, but it's also great and a time capsule.
Yeah, I love it because I love all of his movies for the same reason, because they take over the viewer. Like most movies, they're like you watch it and it's doing what the movie thinks will make you happy. Whereas Kubrick's doing stuff like, well, this is what it would be like to be in space.
Yeah.
This is the pace it's going to unfold at.
Yeah.
Like, which is painfully slow at times.
Well, you can't get away with that today.
No, because people are I don't know.
rolled up.
They don't have the attention span, I don't think. And same thing with Barry Lyndon or Clockwork Orange. Doesn't matter what movie it is his. The Shining.
Yes.
Like now, if someone made The Shining, they'd go, "It's great. You got to cut the first hour out of it." You know.
Too
We're
much
going to
build
start
up.
it with the red rum scene.
Yeah. Started with a hatchet slamming into somebody. Yeah.
The opening shot would be,
and then go 3 months
Scatman
earlier.
Crothers.
Yeah.
Getting hit with the axe.
Yeah, they would do that. They would go 3 months earlier. You know, they would do that. It's cool to see though, like those films. They did what they could do with what was available. Whereas with now, the problem with CGI is they use it
and they overuse it. And I think that I mean, CGI can be phenomenal.
For sure.
But it's a tool and it's turned into a crutch. And I see it with actors. Like you see actors a lot of time, and I feel bad for the actors because you see actors that you go, I know these guys are great, but they're awful in this movie because they didn't train to stand in a warehouse that's green and pretend to look at stuff.
Yeah, right?
So they really, like when you watch The Phantom Menace, you go, why does it suddenly seem like Liam Neeson can't act?
Right.
Because he's like, they're like, look at that dot on the wall. I mean, and you know these guys are incredible actors. I was talking to somebody once, a kid that was in my movie. He was in all the Spy Kids movies. And he said it was so hard because they'd be on a green screen. And they'd be like, you're looking at that. Well, we're not sure what you're looking at, but just stare at that dot and react. He's like, well, what is it? You know, is it a dragon or is it my mom? What am I reacting to? Like, we haven't figured it out yet. And he said he was always in a constant state of confusion as to what he was reacting to.
Well, it's hard too when you go back and you look at some of them. Like, you know what movie got it right that sort of didn't get enough respect in its time, but in time, like as time passed, it's become more respected. Is Starship Troopers.
Yeah, I don't remember that movie that well.
It's it's all
I thought
like
you were going to say
killer
Forrest
bugs.
Gump. Oh, no, but like removing Major Dan's legs. I mean, that's like when CG's awesome. I thought, oh shit, they found a guy with no legs who's a great actor because I didn't know who Gary Sinise was back then.
How about the ping pong scene?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
There's a lot of
Stuff like that's
CGI
amazing.
shit. Yeah. The what I was getting with monster movies though, it's Pat McGee, he's the guy who did that werewolf, the one that's out there.
Oh, yeah?
He'll make them for you, like he makes
Oh,
models.
really? Oh.
And we had this conversation about it. We were saying that you can see CGI, and even if it's awesome, your brain knows it's CGI.
That's funny. That I have that same thought that it's something subliminally your brain knows it's all fake.
Yes, like Godzilla.
Whereas like Godzilla, like when you know it's a guy in a rubber suit crushing things. Like if you watch the original one with like when they cut in Raymond Burr, there's something so dark and fucked up about that movie.
Yes.
Because that's real fire. There's actually 3-dimensional objects blowing up. But when it's so big and fake, like I always say, like what's scarier? A giant CG creature that you know you will never see, or like a maniac with a pillowcase over his head holding an axe coming at you. Like your brain goes, that could happen. I get it.
Yes.
The other thing's like, well, that's like Roger Rabbit. That's not going to happen, you know? It's not, it might be cool or it might be big, but it's not.
Like one of the scariest horror movies of all time is Alien.
Yeah.
And in the first few encounters they have with the creature, you don't even see the damn thing.
Because you couldn't show it that much like the shark in Jaws, but when you see it, it's like it's actually there.
Yes.
And you can feel that its jaws are right in front of Sigourney Weaver's face.
Yes.
It's not like she's looking at nothing and her eye line's a little off because it's a tennis ball and a stick she's looking at. There's something about it really happening in the space that I think people can feel it.
And Sigourney Weaver I think Sigourney Weaver in Alien is the greatest female action hero star ever, because you bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
She was a scientist. She wasn't supposed to be this heroine that's out there just fucking things up and killing everybody.
And she wasn't supposed to be super hot and sexy and young.
But she was hot enough.
Because she became tough, and it made her. But like the whole, I remember when Alien came out. It was kind of like when The Thing came out, and all the reviews were bad. If you remember,
was it really?
Yeah, I mean the reviews are everything are bad when you go back and look like, oh, there's no redeemable characters, or they're all cartoon, these cardboard characters. They rip everything apart. But like it's like Harry Dean Stanton, Yaphet Kotto, and
amazing.
every great character actor doing these
Yeah.
great roles, but it was like now if they remade that, it'd be like everybody
the
would,
reviews.
But that's the thing. The reviews never mean anything. They're just like so crazy.
The first time, was it Harry Dean Stanton that saw it the first time? Who was it that saw it the first time? Where they climbed down into the they climbed down the stairs and it's right there.
I don't
You only
remember.
see it for like a second, but it was a physical thing. But the point is, it was an actual guy in a suit.
Yeah.
And you knew by the way it was moving that it was an actual guy right in front of him.
And it took up 3-dimensional space
Yes.
in real life, and you
Yes.
could feel it. You could,
Yes.
And yeah. I mean, just like when the chest burst thing.
Yes.
It's an actual
Yeah,
thing.
it's a thing.
It's
Yeah.
like it's fucking bizarre.
Or an American Werewolf in London. Same
Exactly.
thing. You see brief glimpses of this thing, like really quick, like one frame, 1 second of it, and then at the end of it, you see it, even when they kill it in the hallway or in the alleyway.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. That's, you only see it for a couple seconds when it stares at her, and then they gun it down.
Yeah, that was like the heyday for effects. Everybody I know who does effects, it was like The Thing, American Werewolf in London, or
Yeah.
The Howling was
Yes,
like the
The
thing that made
Howling.
and Fangoria when that started, and
Yes.
you started really getting articles on stuff, and like
Yeah.
Rob Bottin and Rick Baker like, became like rock
Yeah.
stars to the.
JRE 1403. Deep-sea cameras captured a creature so strange, scientists weren't even sure it existed before.
Yeah.
It's an endless source of fascination. Like wildlife documentaries to me are just truly an endless source of fascination.
You're preaching to the choir,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think they're phenomenal. There's just so much we can learn, and it's like, it's more than just what we learned. Oh, that's cool. That's a nice fact about an octopus. But, we took how we shape jets off of the shape of birds. We've taken so much inspiration from nature into our everyday lives.
Look at this. Look at this.
Squid skin.
Squid skin.
Yeah,
So squid are oh my
That's
god.
crazy looking.
It's like a television.
Yeah.
Like the pixels on a television. I didn't know squid could do that too. Mm-hmm. Whoa, this is so weird.
Look
oh
at
my
that.
god. They're so strange. Such a strange animal. Well, the ocean is so bizarre in and of itself. There's just so many weird creatures in the ocean.
It's such an alien environment to us as terrestrial mammals.
Do you remember when the tsunami hit Thailand and then there was all these animals that they were finding that they had never really seen before?
Washed up on the shores. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and they were documenting them. There was a whole website dedicated to tsunami deep sea creatures. That they
Oh,
had never-
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but,
it was really crazy. Like some of these things that are living, a fucking mile down under the earth.
Right.
And you're like, what? What are you?
And they I forget what the number was, but they got like 30 or 40 new species or something crazy like that, literally like combing through the streets of the cities where the tsunami had hit.
God.
Yeah.
Is that a richer source of bioresources of the ocean, of biodiversity, I should say? The ocean than Earth?
Oh, there's more life in the ocean than on terrestrial land, for sure. Yeah. You mean, is there more diversity in
more
general?
Weirdness. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's way more. I guess it depends how you define weirdness, but like look at an octopus, look at a cuttlefish, look at those
Crabs.
deep sea creatures, crabs, and all the way into the marine mammals and all the way down to the tiny little insects or isopods that live in the ocean. I think the ocean creatures are very bizarre.
How about those giant squid that they found on that oil tanker? When they had a camera down there.
Yeah, and they
sent
saw that one come
100-foot
through.
Giant squid with the crazy, like crab legs.
Yep.
You ever see
the
that
crab
one?
legs? Maybe not.
Never see that one?
With the crab legs? Is
Dude.
he walking along the bottom?
No, it's got it looks like it has appendages.
What?
Like with joints.
No,
Yeah.
haven't seen that
Oh
one.
my God. Oh, I'm going to show you something
I'm
else.
learning
new.
a lot today. I like this.
Crazy alien looking squid. What's up?
I found the thing about those pictures that they've been gone around multiple times after tsunamis. Apparently, they don't have anything to do with the tsunami. They are real photographs of real strange sea creatures. They just didn't wash up on shore after tsunami.
But what about the thing that you had saw?
That's what I
They
was
They came
heard.
up in 2004 and 2011. The same photos.
Oh, so people are bullshitting.
Oh, so it's like a-
but
Russians. I blame the Russians. Go to pull up that alien squid discovered near oil rig. So they had a camera deep under this oil rig, and they spotted this thing with these insane long appendages. Look at this.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, that's different. I thought that's
Look
not
at
what
that.
I thought you were
Look
talking
at
about.
the fucking length of those. What are those things that dangle from it? What'd you call those things?
Tentacles, legs,
Tentacles,
kind of.
legs. What is it? But look at the legs on it. It's like an insect.
Yeah, that's very bizarre.
See how they have like very like obvious bends. Video courtesy of Shell Oil Company. Doing a good job for nature.
Yeah, right.
I see the deep. There's another one. Is that another image of it?
Other thing.
But look how weird it is. How it has like clear bends. Like when you see that thing underwater floating around like that looks like an alien.
Totally. That is our exact kind of depiction of what an alien species
Go to
is.
that green one right next to it. Yeah, look at that. Like, look at that thing. It's
crazy.
Man. I mean, if you saw that underwater, you would shit your pants.
100%. 100%.
And it's 100 feet.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's nuts.
I mean, is it that big? How big did they say it was? Am I making that up? Didn't they say the tentacles go crazy long?
It looks like it.
Yeah, they said the thing was enormous, but that the length of the actual tentacles or whatever the fuck it is was really long. So strange. And this, before they got this video footage of it, they didn't even know something like this was real.
And there's like a lot of those where you get these deep sea cameras and you're like, oh, there's a species we haven't ever documented before.
So it's in the Gulf of Mexico. They caught it at a depth of 7,800 feet. But does it say how big they think it is?
You can
It's
just
a
type in that
big fin
Magna
squid.
Pina
That's
squid
what I had
size.
here. Just
Big fin. Look at the fucking, just how weird it looked. Like the way that the head of it sort of pulsates and moves with
Right.
the waves. Like,
It's like a Steven Spielberg creation.
yeah, there's that, and then there's also a puppy.
Right.
You know, like,
Right.
that's how diverse life is. Okay, the length is up to 15 to 20 times the mantle.
26 feet.
26 feet. Okay, that's
Or
pretty big.
more.
Or more.
Yeah.
Well, giant octopuses too, right? Giant squids were thought to be bullshit until like fairly recently, right?
Correct. Yeah, I don't know when specifically, but they found a few that have washed up, and then they got some actual footage of some. That's what I thought you were talking about
Yeah.
on some rigs,
And
which is
what
just
about
crazy.
What about octopi? What's the largest of the octopi?
The giant Pacific octopus. So the species that you saw attacking that eagle, that's not a huge one, but as far as I know, that's the largest one.
Look at the fucker.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. Look at that
there's-
dead one. That's a giant squid.
It's a big cephalopod. Giant squid, yeah.
Wow. That thing's huge. That looks like it's more than 28 feet. If you stretch that bitch out.
No, those ones are like 100 plus feet.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
The giant
about.
squid, yeah.
100 plus feet.
They can get up to that. Yeah.
That is so nuts.
Isn't it?
100-foot jelly creature. You know?
And you know what's interesting is sperm whales will leave the surface of the ocean and dive down to their depths to hunt those.
Jeez, it must
That's
be
what their
delicious.
teeth are for.
Calamari,
Yeah.
bro.
It's a lot of calamari.
Calamari's good. Look at that fucker. So weird. So the large Pacific octopus, how big? Giant Pacific octopus. How big does that guy get?
I don't know. And I mean, because they're fan out, so I'm not sure. Maybe 5 feet long, 6 feet long, but heavy, like 40, 50, 60 pounds, something like that. They've got a really big one at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Really?
Yeah, really cool one.
Oh, I've been to that. I've been to that aquarium back in the day.
Yeah.
The legend of the Kraken, like they used to think that was all total horseshit,
Right.
Until they found some fossilized cups. They found some suction cups that were, some fossilized evidence of enormous cups
Right.
that they think are indicative of this, real 100-foot octopus or huge
Sure.
fucking octopus.
Well, or just a 100-foot squid on the surface. You
Yeah.
know what? Like you said, those stories always get embellished. So even if it was a 60-foot squid on the surface, say it was injured or dying and it was alive and the boat hit it and it starts slapping the boat with its tentacles.
Hi, mate. It's the Kraken trying to get us.
Like that's not going to turn into a crazy sea fable.
Can you imagine though if you were one of those dudes that was like making your way across the ocean and you, in the 1100s or some shit, and you jump in the water to wash off and you get eaten by a giant octopus in front of your friends?
Yeah, that's
You see something come out of the desk and it eats you with a beak.
right, chomps you. Oh, it's literally suction cups that rip you apart.
Oh.
It's crazy.
And it's totally possible that those things were huge. We just don't have the fossil evidence because they're all made out of jelly.
Right.
They're just like...
They don't fossilize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you get is like if you those fossilized the images of the the cups is just because it left an imprint in some sort of soil or something at the bottom of the ocean.
Some mushrooms don't just change perception, they change behavior in ways no one fully understands.
It's when people pick mushrooms, when they go out and pick mushrooms, the real issue seems to be that there's some mushrooms that are edible that look very close to mushrooms, very similar to mushrooms that are very poisonous.
True to the uninitiated and the people who have not learned. But once you learn the chanterelle, you will not mistake it. Nothing looks like a lion's mane mushroom. Once you learn a lion's mane mushroom, it's hard to mistake it. So there are some lookalikes, and with the Amanita phalloides, the destroying angel, and with the paddy straw mushroom, which is commonly cultivated and collected in Asia, many of the mushroom deaths in North America have come from not displaced people who've come from Asia, and because they're secretive in the language barrier and the culture of being wild collectors, they then mistake the destroying angel for a paddy straw mushroom. That's a real common mistake. There are other people who said it just looked edible. That's a really dangerous thing to say. So you have to know species individually.
Right.
There's edible species of Amanita, and there's poisonous ones. And there's deadly poisonous ones.
The Amanita seems to have a lot of controversy as far as its efficacy, as far as like its psychedelic efficacy.
What's that?
That I don't know anybody that's ever really tripped off of it.
Muscaria or Amanitas?
Yeah.
Oh man, do I have a story?
Please.
Oh my God.
Because everybody that I know, and that was something that McKenna talked about as well. Terrence talked about while he was alive. They said that it seems that it's genetically variable, seasonally variable, perhaps even environmentally variable.
All those things are partially true. I've eaten Amanita muscaria 4 or 5 times. Amanita muscaria is the red mushroom with the white dots. It's the fairy tale mushroom. It's perfectly legal, Santa Claus mushroom. It contains mucimol, muscarine, and ibutinic acid. Actually, very small amounts of muscarine. But the muscarinic symptoms cause salivation and sweating. And I tripped with my friend on Amanita muscaria, and I looked at him, and he was foaming at the mouth. And he had all these bubbles coming out of his mouth. And I go, man, dude, you look like you have rabies. He goes, you should see what you look like. But then Amanita muscaria, I've eaten that a few times, and people do boil it in water, throw away the water twice, and they can make it into an edible mushroom, but it's not that great of an edible. But there's another mushroom called Amanita pantherina. Now, pantherina is a kick-ass mushroom. It has 5 times or more the amounts of mucimol and ibutinic acid, almost no muscarine. So the salivation effect of Amanita muscaria. So I have had a very good friend. We are not friends anymore, unfortunately. But I was in charge of the herbarium at the Evergreen State College, and I freeze-dried Amanita pantherina. They're called panther caps. They're brown in color, and they have dots. Very good. The panther cap, perfectly legal mushroom and extraordinarily powerful. So I was living up in Darrington, Washington. I had this cabin. I was a logger hippie for a few years, and so my friend Dave came up. And I had these freeze-dried mushrooms from the herbarium, and I said, let's go ahead and eat these. And I had read in the literature, and almost no one had eaten them. So we made an omelet, and we cooked it up, and he was much lighter than me, so I thought, well, I should have 2/3 of the omelet, right? Because he's lighter than me. And so we ate the mushrooms around 10 o'clock. And we're living in this cabin, but across the creek was the Squire Creek campground. And it was we call them the Winnebago people, right? Back then in the 70s, I hitchhiked across country 13 times. Winnebago never picked me up. So they were always the enemy. And so we were long-haired hippies, we ate these mushrooms, and we thought for entertainment, let's go look at the Winnebago people. So it was so close. I don't know why we drove our car, but we drove the car out of my cabin. We went down like a half a mile, and we turned left into the Squire Creek campground. And we parked the car, and we wanted to go up to a beautiful view spot. And so we walked through the Winnebago people and their families and everything else, and we get up onto a ridge. And we thought, this is a great view spot. But we're waiting like an hour, no effect. And I was talking to Dave, I said, wow, maybe these aren't that potent. And then right after we said that, I looked at Dave, and I said, David, do you see that? He goes, yeah. And we waited a few more seconds, then whoosh, this big distortion field. And we had a beautiful view of the volcanoes and the valleys, a big viewscape, but we could see the air had become sort of this liquid. And then it started coming on stronger and stronger and stronger. And we go, oh my God, this is getting intense. We better get the heck out of here and go home where it's safe, because this is coming on so strong. So we come down off this little plateau, and we had to come down through the Winnebago people. And then, oh my God, and here we're walking. The thing about Amanitas and Muscaria and Pantherina, you have dull yellows and browns, but you feel like this giant, and you're moving in slow motion. Every step you're taking, you feel like this giant, but you're moving really slow. And then I came to Winnebagos of no end. They were hundreds of feet long. I'm trying to walk past this Winnebago, and like, when is this Winnebago going to end? I keep on walking further and further. And then, oh my God. And so then we're really really high. It was ridiculous. And I had a Rolleiflex camera. And we came up to the car. And so for some friggin' reason, I locked the car. And so I had my key. I looked at my key, and I looked at the lock. I went, bam, missed. Oh, shit. Okay, pulled the key back, missed. But Dave goes, you okay? I go, I'm fine. He goes, do you want me to drive? And I go, no way, dude. If I'm this high, there's no way I want you to drive, right? And so I did it over and over again. Then magically, just for repetition, it just made it into the lock. So I unlocked the door, and I get into the car, and I drop my camera. And then I'm in the car, and I'm trying to get my key in. And thank God I didn't get my key in. I was not safe to drive. And then Dave is going like, oh my God, Paul, we're so friggin' high right now. And I go, and it's like, well, let's go home. I said, did I drop my camera? And I went over, and I looked on the ground. There's my camera. I picked it up. I'm going, wow, Dave, I dropped my camera. Dropped my camera again. I go, wow, Dave, did I drop my camera? Picked up my camera, go, whoa, I dropped my camera. I did this over and over and over again. Repetitive motion syndrome kicked in. And it's a very common symptom of Amanita pantherina. I dropped my camera dozens and dozens of times.
Jesus. How did it look at the end?
Well, it was shattered. But Dave goes, Paul, you should look up. And a whole bunch of people from the Winnebago community had lined up, holding their children in close proximity, watching this repetitive motion syndrome, where I'm just constantly picking my camera.
So they're watching you for entertainment, where you went to watch them for entertainment.
And now they're freaking out because I have this repetitive motion syndrome, and I take one step, I drop my camera. Wow, Dave, I dropped my camera. And I pick up my camera again. I go, did I just drop my camera? Whoa, I dropped my camera again. Now, this speaks to the berserkers. And the berserkers, the word berserk came from the berserkers in Scandinavia, where the legend has it that there were the Scandinavians, the Vikings were surrounded and outnumbered. And they were going to be killed the next day. And they ate a whole bunch of Amanita muscaria and a big soup. And legend has it, and it's not been confirmed, but this is the legend that's very commonly reiterated, is that they drank a whole bunch of Amanita muscaria soup, and then they went, and the next day, even though they're massively outnumbered, they took off all their clothes and they attacked the enemy naked with swords. And that's where the word berserk came from, the berserkers. So I'm having this berserker experience of repetitive motion syndrome, and I'm dropping my camera over and over and over again. And I looked up, and these parents were holding their children. They were totally freaking out. I said, we got to get out of here. So we left the doors open on the car, and I'm taking one or two steps, dropping my camera, picking it up, dropping my camera. We finally made it back. He disappeared. I didn't know. So Dave, you're on your own, dude. I have enough. I have enough to worry about. I made it back to my cabin, and I get to my cabin, and there's a combination lock. I go, oh no, I don't need a combination lock right now. I can barely, so I'm spinning the lock back and forth, and then eventually the lock just spontaneously opened, and then I fell onto the ground and I started convulsing. And the cool thing about convulsing was it felt good. Every time I convulsed, I actually went, oh, that feels so good. So I convulsed some more. And I was just convulsing constantly.
Like epileptic convulsions?
Epileptic convulsions. Very, very intense. But they felt good. This is the weird thing about it. I needed to convulse because every time I convulse, I kind of got a reset of my neurology, and I have a baseline, and then it would spin out of control. And then I had this cascade of Einsteinian thoughts. I'm going, oh my God, I can save the world. I know how to do this. And then I would have a prepositional or an adverbial phrase. And just before I came to the object of my thought that was Einsteinian insight, I would have a tangent. And then I would come to the course at the end of that sentence, and then I have another tangent. And I saw death as a perpetual series of alternatives that never gave me the satisfaction of a conclusive thought. And so this lasted for about 12 hours. I fainted. I went into a coma-like state.
So you recommend it?
No, I do not recommend it. And the biggest concern beside the repetitive motion syndrome is hypothermia. Because if you're out in the woods or something and you're exposed, you're not getting up. So you go in. It's called soma for a reason. It's the soma mushroom. It is somniferous. It causes
Is
sleep.
that what soma is? Because isn't there some debate as to what soma actually is?
That's what R. Gordon Wasson proposed, soma, in the Vedic literature. There's a big debate about that. But the other story I like to tell is my friend Dr. Andrew Weil was at the Cougar Hot Springs in Oregon. And Andy's a medical doctor from Harvard, and he was walking the trail, and people came running down. Oh my God, this guy's trying to kill himself! You got to come up. And Andy went up, and this guy had eaten a whole bunch of Amanita muscaria, big biker dude, and he was covered with blood. And he was up on a bridge, and he was swinging his legs back and forth, and he was above the rocks, and he threw himself off the bridge.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, it was only about 6 or 8 feet, but it's enough onto the boulders down below. Smashed himself on the rocks. And then he climbed back up on the bridge, and he swung his feet and threw himself off the bridge. So this causes repetitive motion syndrome, both with my camera, etc. It's a mushroom that's perfectly legal. It's probably one of the most dangerous mushrooms that anyone could eat. I definitely advise not doing this because I always thought if I was ever called as an expert witness having these experiences, and someone was watching Tales from the Crypt on TV, and then they saw a knife, it causes temporary insanity.
Really?
I mean, the psilocybin mushrooms are wonderful, they're peaceful, they're loving, it's an empathico, right? But the Amanita mushrooms cause this strange sort of behavior that is really potentially dangerous.
JRE number 2031. He described a psychedelic experience so extreme, it felt like contact with another reality.
Borderline like psychotic episode. From your perspective, you don't even understand what a drug is.
Right,
That
you
to
have no
take
idea
you,
what
there's no
happened.
frame of reference. Like the first time I did acid, I was scared, but I knew that I was about to be on a fucking journey. You know what I'm saying? That was the idea. When you're a kid and it comes out of nowhere to you, accidentally take it, and then it's just you're just in this state. Dude.
Yeah. And then, now that's possible. So you're always going to have this anxiety that at one point in time you might slip back into it. That was the thing that I'd always heard about acid too that scared me when I was a kid. Flashbacks.
Yeah, flashbacks.
They would tell you, bro, it stays in your fat.
Yeah.
The acid stays in your fat, man. Then one day you're just fucking driving down the road and the road becomes teardrops. I'm like, what? Yeah, man, you have a flashback. People die that way. I was like, it was like always the thing. Like if you take acid, like maybe you'll never come back.
Yeah, I think I took so much acid one time. The most acid I ever took when I was 19 years old, maybe 18. Me and my buddy Dan Doherty, we got a medicine dropper, this fucking hippie kid, this fucking real big known hippie in my town. He was like, dude, I got acid. And when hallucinogens came to town in New York, where I was at, Rockland County, New York, when hallucinogens came around in the early 2000s, late 90s, you got them because they only came around once in a while. There'd be like a fucking hippie festival upstate and like people would bring strips of acid down or they would have mushrooms, but it was so rare. So when you would hear about somebody having it, you'd fucking drive. We used to drive from Rockland County, which is right outside of New York City. We used to drive up to Albany because there was a guy that would get it up there and we would fucking pick it up when he had it. And he had it like twice a year. But this kid was like, dude, I have liquid acid in an eyedropper. We're like, oh no way, dude, let's do it. He was like $3 a hit, which is super cheap. And then my buddy Dan, I remember he did like 2 drops and I was like, oh, sweet, dude. He was like, all right, let me do another one. And then he went, and I did too. And then he was like, I'm going to do another one. And then he went and squirted it. And I went, holy shit, dude. I was like, well, I can't let you do that by yourself. And I went,
oh
and
my
squirted
God.
it. We gave it back to the guy and he looked how much was left in it. He was like, dude, he was like, don't pay me. He was like, you didn't get this from me. And then he just walked away from us. Wow. And then within 10 minutes, dude, within 10, you know, as it takes like 45 minutes to come on? Mm-hmm. 10 minutes, I'm talking about on another planet, dude. Another fucking planet. Just within 5 minutes of that, I lose Dan. Dan's running down the street like a lunatic.
When you say another planet, like, what are you experiencing?
Just extreme, like, I don't even remember most of the trip, but I remember I saw a friend and they got in their car, and the lights from the car, it was like I was on a spaceship, dude. It was just like the music, and I mean, it was just like the hardest I've ever tripped by far. And it's everything, like the visuals, the sounds, the feeling, but such an intense trip, like scary. It started becoming really scary, started going down the road where, you know, everything is everything. Like that was my conclusion, was like that life is death and death is life. And, you know, sound is the same thing as a fucking table, right. Just being a fucking lunatic. And I remember like starting to think, it kept on coming into my head to kill myself because that's an experience that I can only experience once. It was like just really scary fucking thoughts. And I tripped for 2 full days, 48 hours straight, didn't sleep, just kept on tripping. Then I finally fell asleep, and then the next morning I woke up and it was like I had taken a hit of acid the next morning, but it was normal enough that I was like, so really for like 3 days I tripped.
And when you were tripping, what did the world look like?
There was just like the world, I mean, it's a great question. It's a really great question. I'm trying to remember what my perspective was on how the world looked. I remember being at a Dunkin' Donuts and just sitting there at the table and just fucking thinking about numbers a lot and just fucking...
Numbers?
Yeah, and everything was just fucking brighter. It wasn't pleasurable at all. It wasn't like...
Why were you thinking about numbers?
I don't know. I was just, the numbers were just like coming into my head, and I was just repeating like fake math equations that weren't real.
How do you know they weren't?
Maybe they were real. I know where
you wrote those bitches down. What if you wrote those bitches down and someone like Eric Weinstein would look at them and go, what are you doing here? Where did you learn this? Oh my God, this is the solution. And they run over to one of those fucking Goodwill Hunting chalkboards.
I figured it all out.
Imagine if that's what ideas are when you're tripping. What if you're catching like an alien life form it comes in the form of an idea.
JRE number 783. Deep in the ravine, they suddenly understood the truth. They were standing inside a wolf den.
I've talked. That story is crazy. I was telling a friend of mine about it. The story of you were in Alberta and you shot an elk and these wolves circled the elk.
Yeah.
How many wolves were there?
Well, at first there was just the one. The one came in, and the one came in on us, and that's one I do want to say off the beginning. One thing that I always do as a hunter is I always buy a predator tag if it's available. If I know that I can get that I can buy a tag for coyotes or wolves, I always have one in my pocket, because you do see, they're out there, and they're out there way more now. And this is an exact reason why you got to do it, because literally we had an elk down, and next thing you know, we're out there kind of, getting it ready to to cut it up and stuff and get it out of there. And all of a sudden this big wolf comes in, and I had spotted it and we weren't really being noisy. So I ended up shooting that wolf, and it kind of went off, and with a bow, there's no noise. So what we didn't realize was there was a pack there, and that was actually, it was an alpha female, is because of the size of it. I mean, you saw the size of it.
Yeah.
It's as big as me. And it actually went off, and then we kind of thought, well, that was freaking freaky. Well, then about 20 minutes later, all of a sudden we see another one, and we see another one, and we're kind of like, holy crap. So we start moving into this draw, and one of them was like making like a noise, almost like it was injured or something. It was like whimpering. So we're like, what is the deal? So we were on high ground with the elk, and then we started moving down into this ravine because we saw the wolves down in there. And next thing you know, we get down in there, and I start looking around, and there's like hair on the trees. There's like, it looked like that movie Into the Gray.
The Gray.
That's exactly what it looked like.
The Liam Neeson movie.
There was like
freaking hairy turds everywhere. It was just, there was like beds, there was hair rubbed on the trees. And I start looking around, there's like holes dug in. And I'm like, I literally look at my two buddies that were there with me, and I said, we're right in their freaking den. Like, you know, and I think that elk was not too far. You know, our elk wasn't too far
so
from
when
the den.
you shot an elk that they probably thought of as theirs.
Oh, they definitely thought of it was theirs. Yeah, they definitely thought that was theirs. So then once we're down there, all of a sudden we hear this howl. We're like down there, we hear this howl, and it was definitely an alpha, because in alphas, the howl, it literally turns your blood instantly cold. If you're right in on a true wolf howl, it's like so freaking low and deep, and it's just like chills your blood.
Well, you realize it's not a game.
Well, yeah, then I realized, I'm like, we're in their freaking den. And, you know, I'm kind of looking down. I'm like, okay, well, I shot an elk. Then I shot that. I've got 2 arrows left. So, and, you know, both my guides kind of had, you know, once we said, oh, there's wolves, they like grabbed a gun. We kind of went down in there to see what was up. Well, now this happens. And next thing, after that alpha sounded off, it was like, and I mean, 12, I think it was 12 sounded off all the way around us. We're literally down. Anyone who's been in Alberta, you know that the farmland is level and then it falls into the river system. So we're literally, they have the high ground. There's a dozen wolves and we're in the middle, and we're like, what the crap? So I'm like, get your back to a tree. So we kind of all spin around and we're sitting there. And next thing you know, here comes 2 dogs on a full-blown, I'm talking like full-blown like this, like freaking
running,
coming. And I mean, it turned into chaos. There was like bullets flying. I mean, there's freaking arrows skipping off junk. And we ended up shooting both of those wolves dead. And there's a few gunfires going off. Well, I'm down to like 1 arrow left. And I told the guy, I said, how many bullets you got? And he goes, well, I just grabbed the gun, couple bullets. Like, I didn't know this was all going down. So we're kind of like, we need to get out of here. So we started backing up, and next thing you know, the alpha sounded off again, and they all reported. This time, there's only 2 or 2 less. So next thing I know, I'm like, we're trying to back out.
So when you say that, wait a minute, hold on a second. You say they reported. They know that 2 were dead.
Yes.
So all of them are howling.
I'm certain that the first howl was the alpha male pretty much saying, is everyone in position? Because then they're all like, yes, yes, all the way around. Then all of a sudden the 2 come. All hell breaks loose. Then we're like, the alpha sounds again, but he's in a different location. He was actually to my left, like right here, and really close. And I mean, it's thick in there. You've been there. Mm-hmm. You know how thick it gets. So then they sound off. Well, now this time there's 2 less. So I'm kind of looking, because I know this wolf that sounded and I know it's the alpha. So I like grab my bow and I start kind of creeping over there. And as soon as I get to where I can see, he's like freaking standing right there. And
how far away?
30 yards.
Which actually, a wolf can cover.
Jamie, pull up that picture from Joe's Instagram. Like, it was about a week ago. You found those pictures of those wolves?
Yeah, I forget who the photographer was, but he's got some amazing photographs of wolves.
Or yeah, it was like not the most recent one that was on that dead moose, but it was like,
that was from National Geographic. That was actually a bison. That was from yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yesterday or the day before. Look at that.
Okay, so that right there, that is exactly the face that I saw. But he was head on. He wasn't broadside. But that face where he was literally looking at me like that. And I mean, you're in a fight or flight. Like, I'm totally in a fight or flight. I had 1 arrow left on my string. I freaking grabbed my bow. I kind of looked at him. I knew at that moment, it was like he was coming. Yeah, that's It's like freaking deja vu. That's deja vu right
the
there.
Twitter,
dude.
the Instagram page, Jamie, go back up a little bit, is CJM_photography. And if you go to that guy's Instagram page, he's got amazing photographs. And he's out there with them. There was another one that I had, and that's just right before that, Jamie. Before that wolf picture, there was another wolf picture. That one. Look at that one, man. He's got snow all over his face, and his teeth are bared.
That's a cool. Yeah, that's a cool picture. Like, to me, that's pretty cool. Wolves are amazing.
They're amazing.
And the one thing people underestimate about hunters is our respect for animals.
If you love them, why did you kill it?
I totally respect them. I love them, but I can tell you that other picture right there, when you have that looking at you in the face, I mean, I knew it was like freaking do or die. And I literally looked at that thing and I said out loud, I said, I'm going to shoot you in the effing face. Because,
I like how you don't swear.
Yeah, sorry.
It's cute.
And my boy might listen.
I understand.
And I remember I drew back. I literally drew back and I anchored and I came into my peep. And
Which means, for people who don't know, there's like a little circle that you look at through the string where you line it up with the sight.
So I was literally
lining up the shot.
Lining up the shot. And as soon as I kind of brought my shot down to where that wolf was, there was nothing there.
He bolted.
No, I think he just like ninja'd.
Well, if they're that wise and that big and that old, they've got to know what a hunter is.
They're smart.
They had to have known that you killed the elk, and they had to have known that you killed those other two wolves that chased you, that went after you guys and tried to get the elk.
I think he came in to think, okay, you called a fight. We responded. Now he's like sizing up, okay, I've lost. Here's what I've lost. I want to know what I'm going against. He kind of came in and he freaking looked at us all. And then that was it.
Good thing they can't count. They knew he only had
2
arrows left.
Yeah.
2 arrows and 2 bullets.
Yeah,
how many bullets did that guy pick up? He only picked up 3.
It was bone chilling.
I'm sure.
I mean, you and I both have friends that are grizzlies, cats. I mean, cats are notorious for stalking hunters too, because I mean they are the ultimate hunter. But grizzlies and wolves, I mean, you have to be on guard. There's places now where, grizzlies are strongly becoming such a problem when it comes to, they have to be controlled. They're just starting to get to be too many, especially for the food source.
JRE number 1510. Witnesses reported glowing orbs, silent craft, and even holes opening in the sky above the ranch.
You should tell Joe about how the government program OSAP was created directly because George wrote this book about a little place called Skinwalker Ranch where the government was studying this property. That happened because of his book. Some DIA guys, well, you should tell the story of
I visited that place.
Yeah, but right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you got I think you got a little misled on it.
Tell him how the government study started. From your work. It's fascinating.
So some of it stems back to Lazar. So we did that story in the series in '89. One of the first people to call me after that was a guy I'd never heard of before named Robert Bigelow, a billionaire. He calls me up and says, I was really interested in that. I've been interested in UFOs for a long time. Can I help you? Meaning, can he help fund me? I said, I work for a TV station. I don't need any help. But he was not to be deterred. He then reached out to Lazar. They had he started meeting with him and pumping him for information. And that really amplified Bigelow's lifelong interest in it. He created something called NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery Science, which he made a science advisory board of the best and the brightest in both the UFO field and the field of consciousness. So they're looking at 2 questions. Is there life elsewhere in the universe? Is it here? And do humans survive after death? And he assembled this board, former CIA guys, 2 former astronauts, men who had walked on the moon, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, Dr. Hal Puthoff, physicists, psychologists, really a brilliant little think tank to take on these 2 topics. I was allowed to be a fly on the wall for some of it, not all of it, but some. And I had told Harry Reid about it. In 1996, and he said, can I go? And so he showed up and sat in on the meetings, and he was kind of hooked. Harry Reid was the first person I told about Bob Lazar outside of our newsroom. Before we aired the stories,
I'd known him since he first ran for Congress in 1982. Then he becomes Senate Majority Leader. So he had always had an interest in it, but he didn't want it to be known publicly. That does not help your reelection chances. So in 2005, we write the book about Skinwalker Ranch. NIDS, that team, bought the ranch. They were on the property for 7 or 8 years at that point and had hundreds of different incidents that they investigated. They approached it like scientists would. They looked for prosaic explanations. They looked for gravity anomalies. They looked for psychoactive plants. Could there be hallucinations caused by magic mushrooms or something? Are the witnesses lying? They investigated the background of the family that had lived there. And they found out that it could not be explained, all the range of activity there. So it was not only
what
UFOs.
What kind of activity we're talking
about?
Well,
it starts with UFOs because that's what got their attention. The Uinta Basin in northeastern Utah has always been a UFO hotspot. Everybody who lives there basically has seen them. Balls of light, orbs, structured craft, daylight, nighttime. In 1976, a guy named Dr. Frank Salisbury wrote a book about it, the Utah UFO Display, and he took hundreds of these cases that have been collected by the locals. There was a local science teacher named Junior Hicks who, because he had taught generations of kids science in that area, when people would see UFOs, they'd call up Junior Hicks. And he went and go and investigate them. And he had hundreds and hundreds of files. He gave them over to this guy Salisbury, who wrote a book about it. And he said, these are real, they're going on. But Junior Hicks would disregard any high strangeness cases that came along with the UFOs. Anything weird, Bigfoot, ghosts, anything like that, he thought it was too incredible, and he discarded that. Bigelow buys the ranch. He hears about these stories going on this one property, flies in, meets with the rancher, and by this time, that rancher and his family had lived on the ranch for 20 months. And they were so scared that he, his wife, and his 2 kids were all sleeping at night on the floor in the same room because it had messed with them so badly. Their property had ghost-type activity, poltergeist kind of things, trickster activity. For example, the wife goes shopping to the grocery store. She buys all this food, comes back, puts it on the table, takes it out, puts it in the shelves, leaves the room, comes back in, all the food's back in the bag. She would take a shower in the morning, locks the door, puts a towel and a hairbrush on the cabinet, gets out of the shower, door's still locked, hairbrush and towel are gone. Dad's out in the field. He is digging a post hole, using a post hole digger, heavy piece of equipment. He stops for a second, wipes his brow, looks back, and it's gone. And they find it 2 weeks later up in a tree. They start hearing voices at night in the air, speaking a strange language. They start seeing shapes outside the window at night, big, lurking humanoid shapes, hearing heavy footsteps outside, then hearing heavy footsteps inside. Then their animals started being mutilated. Cows, the tracks would lead out into the snow and then just be gone. Calves, mutilated, cut up with surgical precision. Cats, wiped out, carved up. Dogs that were vaporized. Hundreds of these incidents. They would see holes in the sky, like a great big hole in the sky, and things flying in and out of it. Now, this rancher, college-educated guy, grounded, strictly religious guy, thinks the government is trying to run him off his property. So he's out there at night lurking with a gun, trying to catch whatever government agents are doing this stuff. And it's not government agents. It was something else. They start seeing UFOs of all shapes and sizes. The first one they saw was they thought it was a Winnebago. This ranch is a beautiful place, and it only has one way in and one way out. They see these 2 lights that look like headlights down in the 3rd homestead. How did this guy get past the house here and get down there? He must be stuck. Let's go down and help him out. The lights start coming toward he and his son. Then they go up into the sky, up over the trees, and then poof, gone. These different kinds of orbs, the white ones that were intelligently controlled, not fireflies, not bugs, blue ones that would go, they seem to touch the fear center in your brain. They'd get near them. They look like a little bigger than a softball, made out of glass with a swirling blue liquid, scared the hell out of the animals, and then it scared the hell out of the people too. This literally drove them to their knees with fear. These red orbs that would stampede the cattle. They lost so many cattle that they began to think that they were going to go under. They had these 4 prized bulls. I know I'm jumping around, but there's a lot of stories. They had these 4 prized bulls, 2,000 pounds each, behemoths, very expensive animals because they were raising Simmental cattle. had them in the corral, and the husband and wife, they always felt like they're being watched. He says to the wife as they're driving to town, "Man, if something happens to one of those bulls, we'll go under. We'll be done." They come back a half an hour later. All 4 of the bulls are gone. They jump out. They're freaking out. Where did they go? Did somebody steal them? Are they rustlers? Looking around all over the place. In this corral is a metal trailer where they used to store tools. And there's only one door into it, and it's locked with this heavy piece of wire. The door is still locked. The wire is still on there. The guy, just as a last resort, he looks into the grating on top of this trailer, and there's the 4 bulls inside. Door's still locked. They're all crammed in there. Now, you could take a forklift. You could have a team of 50 people, and they couldn't get those bulls in that trailer, but there they were. He yells to his wife, "Hey, honey, they're in here." And when he says that, the bulls wake up as if out of a trance, kicked the door down, and all got out. The NIDS team, which had been on the property for a couple of years at that point, fly in. They'd been in Las Vegas. They fly back in. They look around. They check out the animals. The whole corral, which is made out of metal, had been magnetized. So whatever technology was used to get those bulls from the corral into that trailer left a magnetic signature. They were there on the property, the NIDS guys, for several years. Bigelow owned it for 20 years. But eventually they gave up. Whatever this thing was, this intelligence, it did not like being stalked, and it played tricks on them. And they never made the stuff public because what are you going to do? Write a paper about this? Who's going to print it? You can't make a documentary about it because they weren't there with cameras.
Is there any evidence? So, well, all this we're saying, those cattle mutilations, I guess that's some evidence, but that's only evidence of cows, and we can mutilate cows. What about all this other stuff?
Like for the first 20 months when the rancher is there, they don't have any evidence because he's not a paranormal investigator. They're not taking photos or something. They want it to go away. So they don't have any evidence of that except for what the rancher told them. But then they talk to the larger community, and the same thing has been happening to all the neighbors. The guy who lives next door had lost all these cattle as well, seized the craft. Sometimes these craft would float around. They looked like stealth fighters with Christmas lights around them, floating around silently.
Again, is there any evidence?
No, not really. I mean, So Bigelow puts up cameras all over the property, and you have them focused here where some activity had happened before. The thing moves over here. You move the cameras and focus there, it goes away. Toward the end of the study, whatever it was that was there, one of these cameras would rip to shreds. They're up on top of a telephone pole, 30, 40 feet in the air. And there's wires that are secured all the way down the telephone pole. And they noticed that one of their cameras goes out. They figure, well, there's another camera on another pole that should have a view of whatever it was that tore this up, some kind of animal or whatever. Well, whatever it was invisible. And I know it's very frustrating. It certainly was for them and for me to try to write about it, in that this thing didn't want to be caught. It wanted to demonstrate that it was there, but it didn't want to have evidence. The calf that was mutilated was in, I know it's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
The calf that was mutilated, it was a Sunday morning. It's 10 o'clock on a quiet morning. It's daylight. The rancher and his wife are there by themselves. They're tagging newborn calves, tag their ears. And they tag this one right by the ranch house, 50 yards from their home, and they go off across the property. It's a clear day. It's unobstructed. Their dog is with them and makes a noise that points them back toward that first calf that they had tagged. And the dog indicates that something's wrong. And they see the mom cow is dragging its leg and going around in a semicircle. It's in distress. They go running back over there, and this calf had been completely stripped of flesh. Nothing left but a hide and bone, and one of the femur bones had been ripped out and thrown on the side. Well, they call in the NIDS guys. They bring in trackers. There are no tracks. There's no human tracks, no vehicle tracks, no animal tracks. The thing had been completely stripped of blood. There's not a drop of blood on the ground. It's gone. 75 pounds of meat gone. Again.
Over a time period of?
30 minutes. Is there a team of commandos that comes in and does that?
Where's the blood go?
Yeah.
And there's evidence of this?
Yeah. It's
photographs?
On video. Yeah, video. Yeah.
Can we see that?
Yeah.
Where is it?
I made a movie called Hunt for the Skinwalker. It's in there, right? Is that the only place?
Yeah, it's probably some other places. There's photos and video.
I mean, so I'm with you, man.
What's the speculation about? Like, why would they do this, and why would they do the cattle mutilations? Like, what is?
Yeah.
Is there any speculation?
Some. So some of it is a demonstration. I mean, it seemed to be a demonstration to get their attention. This trickster element has been reported in other places around the world. There's no hotspot quite like Skinwalker, and I know how weird it sounds. There's no spot like that because there's no spot that's been studied to that extent. The NIDS guys were there for, well, Bigelow owned the property for 20 years. NIDS was active for 7 or 8. Then another secret study funded by the government came in under an organization called BASS. That was the money that Reed got. He got $22 million. It went to Bigelow as a contract, and they hired all these people and fanned out all over the world to try to find UFO information, but other related phenomena, things that wouldn't seem normally to be connected to UFOs, but which are. A guy from the DIA had read the book and became interested, and he asked for permission to go to the property. This guy's a double PhD, a brilliant rocket scientist who had seen it and thought there were national security implications, the hole in the sky in particular, with things coming in and out. He wondered if someone was using technology to make these things happen.
Did they film that hole in the sky?
No. Again, that's when the rancher is there by himself. So he's not a UFO guy. He's not trying to document.
I understand. But is there any evidence of anything weird? Anything other than mutilated cows?
Well, let's see. The video of the camera that was torn up by something invisible. They had something that
so in the video you can see the camera being torn apart?
You can't see anything. There's nothing. You can't see anything. You can see before it happens, it's normal, and afterward.
So I think
how much time is taking place between before and after?
I can't remember. But I mean, could that be hoaxed? Yeah, if Bigelow wanted to. But again, they weren't there to, in the beginning at least, for NIDS, they weren't there to try to prove that aliens are visiting. They're just trying to figure out why all this weird stuff is happening in one spot.
Right.
It mixes in a lot of Native American lore that got mixed in the picture, but it's been going on in that Uinta Basin for 200 years. Why? Don't know.
I mean, our government has studied so like, what is evidence? It's so frustrating to me too. When I was introduced to the Skinwalker thing through George, man, I'm with you. Like, what's the evidence? What's going on? The weight of evidence is when you talk to people in the area and they all have these commonalities. Some people died of exotic cancers from burns from above where lights came down and hit them. And that's evidence. Their face is completely irradiated and they fucking died.
So there's the cow.
That's the cow. Yeah.
So you have a scientist like Dr. Colin Kelleher.
Hold on for a second. That's where they found it? Look at that.
Yeah.
Just what in the fuck that is so crazy. Now, did they scan the area to look for another spot where it could have been slaughtered before it was moved to this area?
Well, that's what they concluded is it had to have been taken somewhere and slaughtered and then brought back. But
Jamie,
who does
that? Can you make that a little larger, please? Can you just zoom in on that? Because that doesn't look very surgical to me. That looks like wolves.
Yeah, it was. There's no
just.
They actually did an analysis, and it was done with 2 types of metallic tools.
But look at all the jagged edges.
They said they took samples and they sent them to 2 pathology labs. Didn't tell the guys what they're looking for. You tell us what you can see. And the pathologist said that 2 instruments had been used. One was a heavy machete type instrument that had been hacked, and then there is a scalpel that had surgically removed a lot of the flesh underneath.
It looks like something killed it and then they moved it to that spot. I mean, if I had to guess. The way it's eaten, though, I mean, it looks like it was eaten.
Well, there's no teeth marks. There are metallic marks. There's no teeth mark.
Meaning they
like
found...
a sliced.
Okay.
And
so something sharp sliced it.
So I think the bigger point is this was happening on this ranch with owners prior to owners prior to owners. I got to talk to a lot of people that knew. So here's the deal. The connection of this. So George does this thing. He reports on this for 20 years. The government is now studying this ranch, right, because of deployment or because of all this weird stuff. Why is the government spending money through OSAP to study this ranch and other things? And that's where it gets really fucking interesting. What happens after with our government programs? And that's what you know.
This is before we get to that. This image, like the jagged edges around the rib cage, that's supposedly sliced. That looks like
hacked.
Okay.
I mean, look, it could, let's say it's people doing this, 2 farmers to get them out of there. Let's say it's some program. I mean, although the cattle mutilation thing, you gave me a stack of documents this big, has been studied by the FBI. It's happened all over the country.
Yeah.
No one has ever been caught, not a single person.
More than 10,000 cases.
With all the same types of cuts. I mean, this is not my expertise.
No, I've seen a lot of that. It's really weird.
There is
it's
another
really
theory.
weird, and the lack of blood is the weirdest part of it. Because what makes sense to me is that something killed that. They butchered it. They chopped all the meat off of it, and then they removed the carcass from that area and dropped it off there.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, if I had to guess.
That's what NIDS thinks.
There's no way that it was killed right there because you're seeing fresh, clean hay underneath it everywhere. There's no blood, which doesn't make any sense at all.
I think the question is this a government program? Is this something, or is this a scare tactic? It's been happening since the 50s. Like,
It's a weird scare tactic. Click on that one below it, Jamie, the brown one with the green. Yeah, that one, please. Thank you. That's a weird one, too. Like, there's like a hole cut out. And there's a bunch of these they found all over the country, and weirdness, like organs removed. But the weirdest part about it is it's almost always there's no blood.
Yeah, I just investigated one, which I never thought I would do, but I got a call from a guy in Texas.
You got to see it physically?
Yeah, so right before lockdown, I go out and I'm like, this is so wild, I got to check this out. The guy calls me, it's a pretty freshy one at this point. Now, I'm no expert, but I went and got samples and took them to labs and this sort of thing to see if there were tools used. So here's my experience.
Did you get pictures of this?
Yeah, I filmed the whole thing.
You have it on your phone?
I'll show you after I got it on my phone. Yeah. So I got great fucking photos. Weird
Well,
shit.
listen, man, airdrop them to me now, and we'll send them to Jamie, and we'll put it up on the screen so other people can see it.
Okay, so let me...
Yeah, after the show is not going to help us.
While you're
Come on,
looking, I'll
silly
tell him
goose.
about one of the theories about the cattle mutilations that Dr. Colin Kelleher developed was that somebody is tracking the spread of like mad cow prions through the food supply, and that they've been doing it under the guise of UFOs. Since no one would take UFOs and cattle mutilation seriously, they just do it in helicopters, and instead of just stealing these cattle, they're tracking how far these indestructible prions travel through the food supply, because it's in cattle, it's in pigs, it gets fed into chickens and things of that in feed, it's in deer. It's called chronic wasting disease in some circles. It's just weird.
Well, chronic
weird.
wasting disease that's a different prion disease than mad cow. Right?
Well, it's a variation. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, I think, too. So the same kinds of things in different species. It is indestructible again. So you hit a deer that's got this, and you grind it up and you feed it to pigs. The pigs get it.
Yeah.
And then it could be passed on to other species, and it shows up in different ways. Kelleher was exploring the idea, whether or not it might be the cause of Alzheimer's or a version of mad cow in humans.
Do you?
They're all going to you right now. This is a recent. Oh, it says downloading. So, I'm downloading them, and then.
Oh, right. Are you on the Wi-Fi?
No, but it's coming through. Here you go. It's about to go to you. It says waiting.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Boom.
I mean, I guess this does highlight, because this is my very limited amount of...
Can you send those to Jamie, too? Jamie, keep putting your airdrop on?
AirDrop, Jamie?
Sorry. Should have had you do that right away. It's ready to roll. His airdrop is open.
I don't see you, bro. Hold on. There we go, young Jamie.
So this is the stuff that you physically encountered.
Okay.
You physically saw this cow, and I'm
Yes.
looking at these images right now, and we're going to show them in a second. And this is, you said Texas?
Yeah. So
where in Texas?
Oh, gosh, what was the name of it? In the Panhandle. I'm blanking. So here's the deal. Oh, yeah, that's it. So I made the movie based on George's work of the same title, Hunt for the Skinwalker, right? And that movie was telling this story about how the United States government was studying this property of land because of UFOs and weird stuff. That and weird stuff included things like cattle.
Pull up this one. There's a lot of weird images, man. This the skin removed around the face.
Right. So this was
the skull.
This is my first chance to see this for myself, because last time I was on your show, it was the ones in Oregon had just happened up at that ranch, and I thought, well, okay, if I'm ever going to do it, now's the time to do it. So I go I get this call. Now, remind you, this is a rancher. This is their livelihood. It's this huge area of land.
Right there. Stop right there.
They're a very religious community. We go out to the middle of this land, and in the middle, there's this dead cow.
No blood.
No blood. And he had seen it prior, and the reason he called me is because in my movie you could see this special kind of slice, like a jagged slice that is common to these types of things they think are real mutilations. And he is looking at it, he's like, that's exactly like in the movie. Now this is a straight shooter, he's a religious guy. He had to ask his pastor if he could even go on camera with me. It freaks him out. So he sees this. Now, he sees dead animals all the time.
And he saw this cow, you said, before?
Accidentally, he was out shooting BB guns with his kid, and he's on this big part of land, and he sees this down bull, and he goes over to it, and he's looking at it, and it's unlike anything he has ever seen in all of his years before. It had surgical cuts. There is no doubt somebody cut up this animal with those classic, the ear gone, 2 types of tools, like a scissor type. But by the way, I tried to cut it. It is not easy to cut. So they had sharp tools, and then there's a very thin slice kind of cut. So I got to take it, get samples, take them to labs, and try to see what type of tools did this. How did they do this with no blood on the ground? And all the soil around it was dead. So I was like, well, why is it all dead? Is that a natural thing? So I took soil samples and took them to a lab. And again, I'm outside of my... This is weird to me.
Okay.
But I think it's a real phenomenon. Somebody is killing these animals.
Someone.
However you want to say it. Someone is killing these animals in a highly specified technical way that has been repeated since the 50s on. Our FBI has studied it. He has shown me so many reports of these in association with discs, saucers.
Did this guy have any association with discs or saucers or anything?
No, he's just a guy that owns the land.
So he just found this cattle that's weirdly mutilated.
Somebody killed it.
Yeah.
And he's like, is this demonic? Is this some sort of Satanist thing? And I said, I don't think so, man. This goes back in history.
I'm looking at the cuts specifically. They're very unimpressive. That doesn't look like a laser did it or some incredibly sharp scalpel.
No, it was like a serrated. One was a serrated tool, and the other.
That's the thing I'm saying. It's like something that we could do.
Oh, absolutely. We'd have to somehow do it, though, in Texas land where the guy would shoot you in the face if you go and try to touch one of his cows. See, that's the other thing. No one's ever been caught. Never.
That's what's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's frustrating, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to the ranch, the Skinwalker Ranch in the basin more than 24 times. I've never seen anything. I've interviewed the neighbors. I've interviewed the scientists. These are PhD level guys who had seen this stuff. A lot of times they have cameras that fail. I mean, it's, you've heard that story before, and it's very convenient that it happens just when some giant disc shows up, but it does happen, that their car batteries would die in the same spot. Whatever it was messed with them. And maybe it's humans, maybe it is human technology, but no humans were ever found to be doing this stuff. NIDS was there for all those years. They didn't want to tell anybody about it. They shared the information with me, but you can't publish it. There's no real physical proof, so they just left it there. And I had tried to do a documentary. I talked to them and let me write a book about it. But, if you're looking for physical evidence and solid proof, they don't have it.
What's the primary are there any primary theories of why they do this to cows? Why someone's doing this to cows?
You need to catch somebody and ask them. I mean, that's
really, look, man, really weird that no one's been